What's up, everybody? My name is Daniel. I am the admin of all those JazzNation pages that you're following online through TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Sorry, just trying to make sure I've got this all going. Still trying to figure out, make sure I do these live stream things correctly. Got to fix the hat there. Got to show off the Vegas Golden Knights logo. Proud, loud and proud, of course. Stanley Cup champs. I feel like I got to fix my camera a little there. Anyways, like I was saying, let's try this introduction again. What's up, everybody? My name is Daniel. I am the admin of all those JazzNation pages that you're following online through. Let's go through the whole list here. Through Facebook, Twitter, obviously the podcast, the YouTube, the Instagram, the TikTok. There is a Patreon page out there as well. Could really use your guys' support on that. Patreon.com/JazzNation. Right now up there on that Patreon page. It is $6 to join the Patreon page. Really appreciate the support on that. Gets exclusive interviews. Right now we have our exclusive interview with Walker Kessler up there. Yeah, so really, I'm trying to get some more interviews lined up. You know, we had one lined up. Unfortunately, had to reschedule, so we're going to get that rescheduled. But trying to get some other ones lined up here. It's kind of hard. You don't realize how hard it is to get those things lined up until you're trying to do it. But it's all good. I know it'll all work out here eventually. But anyways, I thought I would try something new. You know, yesterday I sent out a tweet to David Locke, and I feel like a lot of you people on Twitter saw that too and kind of were agreeing with it. But long story short, I just said to David Locke on Twitter, I was like, you know, respect you for doing the daily podcast, but can you maybe hit the mute on your microphone when you're taking a drink? Because that just kind of irritates the crap out of me. And I'm not the only one. So anyways, after I said that, I was like, why don't I do it daily? Like I could do it daily. So that's what I'm going to see if I can try and do. So that's just what we're doing here. Calling it JazzNation Daily. Hopefully I can come through with you guys some daily JazzNation updates. It's Thursday. What is the exact date here? Terrible dates. Thursday, June 15th. That means we're 1 week away from the NBA draft, folks. 1 week away. That means things are about to pick up with the mock drafts even heavier. As a matter of fact, right when I was getting ready to log in, I noticed there's a new mock draft. We got to talk about it because it's amazing. 2, the trade rumors are going to get crazy, and just people getting upset when I say things on Twitter and all the other social networks at me. It's going to get crazy, and let's just start there. Yesterday was a fun day for me. You know, let me just kind of back up and say, for those that don't know, I've been running this. Let's see if I can get my microphone in a good spot. This JazzNation thing since the day Darren Williams got traded. That's how long I've been doing this thing. And man, that's a long time. I just really quickly was trying to think of how long it's been. It's been so long that Darren's not even in the league anymore. And Chris Paul, who was also in that draft, is like barely still in the league, it feels like. So that's how long I've been doing it. And in that whole time of doing that, you know, I've learned a lot of things on my own. I've done it basically this whole thing all on my own. And I've learned that I can't make everyone happy. You know, I'll say some things out there. I'll put some jazz news out there that I think is like, cool. I want to put this out there. People are going to want to know this, and it gets no traction. And then I'll put something else out there that I'm just like, this is stupid. This is whatever. And it just goes crazy with traction. That's just how social media works. So, you know, can't please everyone. Can't make everyone happy. Case in point to that was yesterday. There was a let me make sure I get the source of this information correct here. Let me hurry and pull up something. Please hold. From NBA Central on Twitter that put out saying betting favorites to land notable players. And the moment I saw this tweet and this information, I was like, well, this is total stupidity, but it would be fun. Let's put this out there and let's just see. Sometimes I put things out there just to see how, because I know that it's just going to equal insane funny comments, which sometimes are the funnest. Like yesterday was fun. And sometimes it can just bring out the rudest of people. And sometimes I really don't understand people that just go absolutely crazy over social media posts, but it is what it is. Anyways, this post was saying things like LeBron James favored to sign with them, go to the Mavericks. Dame Lillard to the Heat, James Harden to the Rockets, Irving to the Lakers. The one that involving the Jazz that just blew everyone's mind was Draymond Green to the Utah Jazz. And in the post, I even put, yes, I'm 100% about it. The Jazz need a vet who isn't scared to get into it. Make it happen, Justin and Danny. Oh man, did that just result in some of the funnest comments? It was just so much fun, and like I said, people, you got to understand. I got to post things like that sometimes because, like I said, it gains traction, and traction equals more followers, which makes the page better, which means possible more interviews with players, interviews with such and such. Just more things. So, when you see me do posts like that, it's all in good fun, folks. Don't take it too serious. It just is what it is. That's just enjoy it. Also, yesterday included a report that the Washington Wizards are looking to shop Bradley Beal. I put that out there saying, hey, should the Utah Jazz be interested in getting Bradley Beal? I would say 96.3% of the response was no. As a matter of fact, it also got replies from like local Jazz beat writers, like a Tony Jones, who absolutely said absolutely no. And Salt Lake Tribune beat writer Eric was like no, and then gave me like a clip of his article saying he'd already done like an article explaining why the Jazz should absolutely not be interested in Beal. So it's just all in good fun. That's just take those kind of things as what they are. They're all in good fun. Don't go too crazy with it. Also yesterday we get the news that I gotta pat myself on the back here. Let's see if I can reach and do it. That I kind of foresaw this. Well, let's just say I was hopeful for it, and it seems like my hopefulness was granted. Woj dropped a bomb on us yesterday on a tweet saying Utah Jazz center Walker Kessler has committed to play for Team USA's FIBA World Cup team this summer in the Philippines. And then right after that, Tony Jones of The Athletic also confirmed the information. And this was something very interesting. So then his next tweet was saying, which I actually thought was going to be I didn't actually expect Walker. I'm honest, take my pat back a little bit. I didn't actually expect Walker to make the actual team that's going to play in the World Cup. I thought he would be perfect to go down on the select team. And for those that don't know, the select team is basically, usually it's a bunch of the younger players that go down to Las Vegas, which is where Team USA typically trains and plays something like their preseason games, if you call them, or exhibition games. And the select team basically is like there to help them in practices and warm up and things like that. It's almost like, a training camp team. They're there basically to help them get ready for the World Cup or in other times the Olympics and things like that. And then if for ever freakishly reason someone gets injured, sometimes they'll pull a player from that select team up to the main roster team to play. So, Tony Jones has said that originally Walker was just going to be on that select team, but I guess he got the call up. So congratulations to Walker Kessler. He will be playing in the FIBA World Cup, which starts in, I believe, toward late August. He will join other Jazz men who will also be representing their teams in FIBA World Cup, including Lauri Markkanen for Finland, Jordan Clarkson, who will be playing for Philippines, who's the hosting country of that. So that's awesome for him. Kelly Olynyk for Canada and Simone Fontecchio for Italy. So some Jazz players getting a chance to go out and represent their country. Hopefully, we saw what that did for Markkanen last year. He came back from playing for Finland then and was just a beast last season. So hopefully that helps out all those players and they come back amazing. Unless for some dumb reason Clarkson's no longer on the Jazz, and then hopefully it doesn't make him any better. So I got to be a little evil in that. Also, so like I said, some other kind of breaking Jazz news this week is they released the official schedule for this year's Salt Lake City Summer League. I got to tell you, man, that's coming. I mean, the first game is July 3rd. We're already under a month from that, and they're just barely releasing the schedule for it. It kind of seems crazy to me, but it is what it is. First game will be on July 3rd. So there's only 4 teams in the Salt Lake Summer League, and we've got the Memphis Grizzlies, the 76ers, the Thunder, and of course the Utah Jazz. So it starts out on July 3rd, Grizzlies versus 76ers, and then the Thunder versus the Jazz. Obviously, then they take July 4th off. Next game would be on July 5th. We start off with the Grizzlies versus the Thunder, and then the 76ers versus the Jazz. And to cap it off, July 6th, it's the Thunder versus 76ers and the Grizzlies versus the Jazz. Kind of kind of some breaking news kind of here for the Jazz Nation side of things. Me and my podcast assistant to the host, Mr. Will Wonder, we got the invite from the Jazz folks to attend this year's Summer League. And we're actually going to be able to go there and ask some questions. So we're going to go around and ask some trivia questions. So if you're at Summer League and you see my beautiful face, or I don't know if we're going to be able to take a sign with us or whatever, we'll try and do our best to make it obvious that we're looking for people. But we're going to do some trivia, some jazz trivia there, and some prizes and stuff like that. So looking for ways to get some content for the pages. So if you feel like, if you're going to be at Salt Lake Summer League and you feel like I am smart with all my jazz knowledge and trivia stuff, that here's going to be your chance to prove it and possibly win some prizes. So check us out at Salt Lake City Summer League. We will be there live and in person. Oh, speaking of live and in person, as I mentioned, 1 week from today, obviously the NBA draft. Some other kind of, I guess, breaking news. Let's kind of all over the place here, but some more breaking news, if you will. Last night, it kind of became official. Everyone was, I think, they haven't really done this for a while, obviously, because the coronavirus shut down and all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of us were hopeful that they were going to have a draft party this year. And for those that don't know, back in the days, if you will, about a few years ago, as a matter of fact, for the camera here, I'll kind of see if I can pan over, but this little program right here with Trey Burke on it is from the Utah Jazz draft party that they did. When was this? When was Trey Burke? 2013. So that's kind of a way to tell you there for those that are watching visually right now. But they used to do these draft parties at the arena, and it was just a way for fans to come and watch the NBA draft. Typically like the Jazz Bear was there, Jazz Dancers. It was just fun. It was kind of a free event. So, we love free events, and we're all about them free events. And it was just a cool way for Jazz fans to get together and watch the draft and kind of respond to things that was going on there. It was cool. It was cool. It was fun. Unfortunately, I think a lot of us thought, hey, this year we got 3 first-round picks. The Delta Center's back. This is, it'd be a perfect time to get excited. Summer League's coming up. It would be a cool time to do that. Well, unfortunately, officially last night, it came out that there will not be a draft party. Sorry, everyone that was looking forward to that. However, don't you worry. Your Jazz Nation folks here, I've got you covered. Well, unfortunately, I don't have you covered. So I will be out of town and unavailable the night of the NBA draft. I'm actually going to San Jose with my wife to see a concert. We're going to see Blink-182. I bought these tickets when they first went on sale. Feels like ages ago. You know how that works. Sometimes you buy tickets, and as it gets closer, you start realizing like, oh, crap. Did we buy these tickets on Mom's birthday? Oh, we're going to be out of town for such and such. Oh, crap, So anyways, long story short, I will not be available, but the assistant to the host, Mr. Will Wonder, will be available, and he will be hosting a live stream broadcast, kind of like I'm doing right now if you're watching this on the video. So you'll be able to watch the NBA draft with Will Wonder. He's going to have guests with him as well speaking about it, and they're just going to kind of go, when breaking news happens, things like that, they'll talk about it. You'll be able to get on and chat with him during the whole NBA draft. So it's just a cool way to interact. That's a cool way to interact. There's not going to be the NBA draft party at the Jazz Arena, so this is your option. This is your plan B. It may not be your number one plan, but you know what? I guarantee my man, Mr. Will Wonder, is going to do a great job with that. And if at all possible, I will do my best to jump on and talk some things as well. So yeah, 1 week from today, NBA draft, there will be a live stream with Mr. Will Wonder of the Jazz Nation podcast to speak that with y'all. All right. Enough of all that kind of up-to-date news and all that such. Let's talk mock drafts, because that's our favorite thing to do, right? And rumors and things like that. This week there's been kind of, I say this all the time, and I'll say it again, as we get closer to the NBA draft, especially a draft like this for the Utah Jazz, when you have 3 first-round picks, there's going to be a lot of rumors concerning trades, and I think a lot of fans are just wondering about trades and if we can move up and such and such. Well, I think there's been a lot more insights of what the Jazz are and aren't going to be able to do this year. As far as, I know for leading up to about this week, there was a lot of chatter among JazzNation fans and things like that about, it came out that the Portland was shopping the third pick. Well, let's move up. Let's get that third pick. Well, now it's come out that the Blazers asking price is crazy high. Tony Jones of The Athletic was on I believe it was yesterday with ESPN 700, local ESPN radio station, with an interview, and he got asked about the third pick, and he basically said that the Blazers asking price is just way too high. Do not even give that any kind of thought anymore, Jazz fans. Don't worry about that. And going along with that, I guess there is chatter right now about the Pelicans apparently really are into Scoot and want to add Scoot. And they are so into Scoot that they're actually willing to trade. I believe I've seen different reports that it's either for the number 2 pick or the number 3. I guess it really just depends what the Hornets are going to do. I mean, but the Pelicans are apparently offering like Brandon Ingram or even Zion to get one of those picks and get Scoot. So that just tells you like the level of player that those picks would need. I mean, I was saying before the Jazz would have to trade Lauri Markkanen to get the number 3 pick, and it was very interesting. I think I did a post or tweet and things about that a couple days ago, pretty recently, about that, and it was so funny because on Twitter I was getting so much hate and how could you do that from Jazz fans, and you are so stupid to even think that. And then I got a couple of people from Portland side. They're just like, this trade is dumb. This is not even close enough for what it would take. And if I recall right off the top of my head, it was that the Jazz would trade Lauri Markkanen, the 9th pick, and I think the 28th pick, or maybe it was actually the 16th pick, to Portland for the number 3 pick, and then like Anthony Simons and some other stuff. I think it was just kind of maybe the Jazz were swapping picks and things like that. But yeah, Portland was like, no way, that's not even close to enough. The Portland fans were that. So it was very interesting, the level of that. And I'll circle back to around that with something I wanted to kind of maybe finish on when we get to that point. But it was very interesting, just the Jazz fans were so anti. How dare you even bring up Lauri Markkanen as a possible trade? He's pure gold. And again, I got people saying the magical word, he's untradeable. And I have to, every time I get that anymore, I have to reply to them and tell them, you really wouldn't trade him for Luka. You wouldn't trade him for this. You wouldn't trade him for that. And I have to say it again. At this current time, there is nobody on the Utah Jazz roster that is untradeable. And I say that in the NBA, in the whole league itself, players that are untradeable are super duper thin. I mean, at this moment, just off the top of my head, Joker, he's probably untradeable. I don't think Denver would trade him for anybody right now. You also used to be able to say Giannis is untouchable, but is he? I mean, is he? I guess right now he's still untouchable, but I honestly, I don't know. If the Bucks have another season like they did last year, and we're talking 1 year from now in that offseason, is it crazy to think that at that time Giannis might be like, guys, I've loved what we've done here in Milwaukee, but it's time for something new. Who knows? I mean, think about a couple of years ago, it was crazy to think that Kevin Durant was going to want out of Thunder, or was it? I don't know. But it's just, we're in a whole different. The point is that the league is so different now. Players never stay with teams the whole time. I wish, I can say this a million times, but I just wish Jazz fans would understand the years of like the Stockton Malones. It's so over. It's so far gone. I mean, even like the time, I think the Darren Williams era of those type of players were like the first players coming in of like, it's time out with the old, in with the new. Players need to have more say in things. And I feel like the league's kind of finally, it's all kind of, it may not make fans happy and stuff like that. It's just the way the league is. And I think there's a lot of Jazz fans that are still stuck in the past with that. And, I do live here in Salt Lake City, so I do know that unfortunately sometimes Utah times is a little slower when it comes to catching up on things. So this is something we just need to catch up on, folks. It just is what it is. Players just don't stick around with teams the whole time. They move around. So that was a long way of saying there is nobody on the Utah Jazz right now that is untradeable. Anybody could be traded for the right person. I'm not saying they're getting traded right now. I'm just saying there is nobody that's untradeable at this time. Anyways, let's get back to some draft talk. As I said earlier, right as I was logging in, there was a new mock draft that came from The Athletic from Sam Vicini. Probably saying that wrong. Oh, anyways, also speaking of The Athletic and the Sam bro, yesterday he released a draft guide. It is amazing. I mean, if you want to really feel like you're ready for the NBA draft next week, I would highly, highly, highly recommend and encourage you to check out this draft guide from The Athletic. It dropped yesterday. It's seriously like, I mean, it's like I didn't get a chance to go through the whole thing. It is long, in depth, and great. Some really good information on all the players. Let me just, man, I am so bouncing all over. But in there he does like tiers, which is, I love when people do that because it's kind of like, giving us. It just makes it easier to understand where players should be at and things like that. Oh, where is that tiers? Sorry, folks. Here it is. Okay. So obviously in tier 1 is Wemby. He's in his own tier. He's amazing, whatever. Tier 2 was projectable all-star upside. This is the order of this tier. Cam Whitmore, Brandon Miller, and Amon Thompson. Tier 3. Now these are all players that I'm not going to go through a whole list of tiers, but these are basically the ones that I thought were Jazz worthy, kind of in that 9th pick range and such. Tier 3, high leverage starters. In order again. We have Walker, Hendricks, Black, Asir Thompson. Tier 4, starter / all-star tool swings. In order again, Lively II, Bufkin, Colbley. I've got to figure out if I'm saying that right. It's a guy that's playing with Wemby over there in France. Leonard Miller, Cason Wallace, Hood Schifino, and Grady Dick. So the thing that I found very interesting in this tiers is that they're in tier 2. You got Cam Whitmore above Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller, that is apparently going to be, 2nd pick or 3rd pick. I feel like people are. I've been saying this for a while. As far as my draft board for the Jazz, I've been all in on Cam Whitmore. I feel like I've said it a few times. Say it again. I feel like Cam Whitmore, his body looks like he's NBA ready. When you watch him, obviously, that you got to take these workout videos that you see on Twitter or on YouTube with a grain of salt, because obviously they're only going to release footage of them making all their shots. They're not going to show videos of them not understanding a play that maybe they're, you know what I mean? They're only going to show the good stuff. So, but to me, he just seems NBA ready. I mean, I just really look at, like, as weird as this might sound to some of you got to look at their body. Like some of these guys, like, that you look at, they're still so skinny, and you just got to look at them as a project. I mean, think back to when the Jazz drafted Rudy Gobert, right? When he came in, he was tall and skinny, and you looked at him and you go like, well, that guy's body doesn't look very NBA ready. Well, he worked on it. He put in the work and got it ready, and then he got to this. I'm saying Cam Whitmore, his body is ready to, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star in his first year, but his first year is probably going to be, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to help your team, I feel like, right away. That's my feeling I get from that. And then watching the videos of him making all the shots, because again, they're only going to show me the good plays that he can do. But that's just my feeling on Cam Whitmore. I mean, my biggest want, and I don't know if or how the Jazz can do it, but if they are able to move up and get Cam Whitmore, I would be so happy. That would make me so happy. So I found that very interesting on there. Also, the other interesting thing is that, for this tier 4, which is like the tier 4, which is kind of like the Jazz 16th pick. And if they, there's been a lot of talk about the Jazz, like in that the French guy, the Colbley. If my feeling is that the Jazz really do like him, they are going to have to move up. He is not going to be there at 16. So that, there's been a lot of, are the Jazz going to be able to trade, move up? My gut feeling says they'll have to stay at 9 because the asking prices to move up are going to be so hard. Again, I would love for them to move up and get Cam Whitmore. I hope I'm wrong on that. Gut feeling says they stay at 9, draft there. But then I think they would, if there is going to be a trade, it's going to be able to trade like the 16th, 28th, and maybe something else to move up places if there's one of these players they want there. A lot of other talk recently has been that the Jazz are really, I mentioned the French guy there, but they've also apparently really been high on the guy from why am I drawing a blank? The George guy, the guard, Keontae George, right? Where Butler? Is it Butler? No, I'm thinking Butler because Jared Butler went there. Man, that feels dumb that I can't think of that right now. Anyways, if you're watching this and you know what it should be, leave me a comment so I can see it real quick. Apparently the Jazz are really high on them. Obviously, anyone that watches like Locked On Jazz, David Locke has been really high on Bufkin from Michigan. He's also been high on Case and Wallace. Case and Wallace, I feel like is his draft stock is going up right now too. I feel like in some recent mock drafts, he's, it used to be you'd see him, as high as 10 and then as low as 16. Now it seems like the lowest I see him going is like 12, and he's sticking in that 10 to 12 range. So I think that's another player that if the Jazz are high on, and apparently I believe I heard or saw that they have just recently or are about to do a workout with Case and Wallace. So I guess we'll see. I like Case and Wallace, what I've seen from his stuff and heard him talking and things like that. I would love that's another thing I would say, if the Jazz pick 9th, say they get the guy that everyone's falling in love with for the Jazz at 9th, Taylor Hendricks out of Central Florida. If the Jazz take him at 9, I would love then for the Jazz to move up. The 10th pick from the Mavericks is apparently available. Make the trade with them, and then right there take Case and Wallace. That would be awesome. If the Jazz end up with those two, I'm so happy, and for those picks as well. So, all right, let's go back to where I was talking about the mock draft that just got in right before I was ready to record again from The Athletic. I'll just go through the order here. We get to the Jazz. Obviously, number 1, they got Wemby. Number 2, who are they going with? They're going with Scoot. I got to say, I do feel like if the Hornets do stay with the second pick and don't trade it, I think they go Scoot Henderson. I think, there's so much more that goes into players getting picked. There's stuff that none of us fans have any idea with. And I'm talking about like them having their meetings with the teams and interviews and background checks and all this kind of stuff. And I think after you go through all that, I just feel like Scoot Henderson is probably the guy that you should feel way more comfortable with doing. Now, if the Hornets are the Hornets and decide they want the big guy, they're like, hey, we already got a guard, we need a big guy, then Brandon Miller's there. I could see them doing that too. But to me, I feel like Scoot Henderson's going to be the bigger upside guy and ready to help them right now. All right, so in this mock, then it goes Brandon Miller to the Blazers at 3. Now, here's kind of a surprise. This is another player that's been moving up in recent mocks. For the longest time in these mock drafts, it was Amon Thompson right here to the Rockets at 4. Well, lately it's been in the mocks, I feel like, and in this mock that I'm reading off right now, the Houston Rockets at the 4th pick go Cam Whitmore. Now, going back to what I was saying, if hopefully the Jazz could possibly get Cam Whitmore, the Rockets, the 4th pick, as far as trade talks and picks available, it feels like the 2nd, 3rd, the 4th, the 5th picks I've heard are available. I'm not sure if the Magic pick I've heard so much as available, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's available. They have 2 firsts. Maybe they aren't so bad. Like if the Jazz wanted to move up, I could see them easily saying, yeah, we'll move back to 9, no problem. But I feel like I haven't heard a whole lot about that one being available. Anyways, so Cam Whitmore to the Rockets at 4. For the Pistons at 5, it is Jarice Walker, Houston forward. Then to 6, we go the Orlando Magic. This is where Amon Thompson falls to. So, that's we always wonder. There's always somebody that's falling in these drafts, and so this would be, from what it was before, that would be kind of a fall for him to go on because, like I said, it felt like he was going to Houston this whole time. But if he falls to the Magic there at 6, kind of a fall, but still good for them. And now here's one that I think Jazz fans would hate, and kind of a surprise. I would be surprised by this. Indiana Pacers at 7, taking Taylor Hendricks, the forward from UCF. Jazz fans are all about him. I'm in on him. I just said that I would be about him, but yeah, this mock draft from The Athletic has him going 7. That's I'm a little surprised by that. One right here that I'm not surprised that I feel like is highly likely, the Washington Wizards, who just like the Utah Jazz are in need of a point guard. David Locke has said this multiple times on his podcast as well, that this is where the Jazz probably wish they had fallen so they didn't have to worry about the Washington Wizards taking their guy, but Anthony Black going to the Washington Wizards there. I've said it a few times before on other podcasts and things I've talked about or whatever streams. I understand, the size and all that with Anthony Black. I'm just not as sold on him. Obviously there's talk about his scoring issues. I feel like he can work on that, work on his shot and stuff, whatever. But I just, you just got to go off your vibe, the gut feeling they say, right? The gut feeling for me is just saying it's not it's not. I'm not as sold on him as many Jazz fans are. I could be totally wrong. That would be all. If he ends up with the Jazz, I hope I'm totally wrong. I hope I'm so wrong, but I'm just not feeling him. So Washington taking him and not available for the Jazz doesn't bug me so much. So for the Utah Jazz in this mock draft, this is one that I think a lot of Jazz fans would be happy with, and this would be another one of those fall two kind of situations. Asir Thompson falls to the Jazz in this mock jacket and number 9. 6'6" wing guard out of the overtime elite with the G League. Let me just read this. This is what it's saying. The scout says, Thompson is an elite athlete who impacts the game in many ways. He's a strong defender who flies around and help. Wait, what? He's a strong defender who flies around and help as good rim protector and playmaker in passing lanes. So they're saying he's a strong defender. He's a strong technical on-ball defender. Oh, there we go again. Offensively, he can get out on the break and score. And in the half court, he's a sharp cutter and driver of the basket. His passing is maybe my favorite skill, especially as a secondary ball handler. As a finisher, Thompson has terrific package of touched finishes and layups in addition to above-the-rim athleticism. The guy Thompson reminds me of most is Andre Iguodala, even down to the shooting questions that Thompson will have to work through early in his career. My bet is Thompson is an impact player because of how well-rounded his game is. That's been the kind of the mark on Thompson, is that his shooting looks a little off. If you've seen any videos of him recently shooting, it does look a little crazy, but they can easily help him with that. Then it says the fit. The Jazz get to reshape their roster now. God, they're still talking about Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell deals. That's crazy to me. Danny Ainge rebuilt the Celtics roster with a lot of size on the wing and the perimeter. Another word that comes up in conversations about the Jazz are looking for on draft night is competitiveness. They seem to be placing a premium on players who get after it every night. Shouldn't every team want a player like that? Anyways, my bet is they're looking for bigger wings and guards with that kind of mindset, especially with where the NBA is going. Thompson fits that billing. Shout out to like NBA writers and stuff like that. I'm sorry, when I read something like that, it just honestly makes me feel like, doesn't every NBA team want that? It almost like when you read something and there's like, this player is driven and he is driven to make your team better. Shouldn't every player getting drafted want to help the team be better? I don't know. I'm not going to go through the whole rest of this stuff. As far as the picks, because I'm just rambling on. Let's just say that for the 16th pick, it has the Utah Jazz drafting Kobe Buffkin, 6'4" guard out of Michigan. And for the final pick, the 28th pick, they have the Jazz drafting Brandon Podzmitsky. I'm probably saying that wrong. Apologies. 6'4" guard wing out of Santa Clara. I got to say, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. This mock draft, if the Jazz end up with all three of those players, I'd be so happy. That's an awesome draft right there. I've said it before, though, and I'll say it again. I personally do not see the Jazz drafting 3 first-round picks. I do think that 28th pick is not going to be with the Jazz. Either that means they've either traded up, or another thing to keep in mind is the Jazz could kind of need a first-round pick next year, because basically what's going on is the first-round pick the Jazz have next year, if it falls between 1 and 10, then it goes to – wait, no. I feel like I have that better. If it's between 1 and 10, the Jazz keep it. If it's after 10, it goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is from a deal the Jazz did a few years ago when they traded – was it when they traded? It had something to do with Derek Favors. Was it when they traded? I think it's when they traded Favors to the Thunder. Probably. That makes a lot of sense. More sense than getting him back, because when they got him back, I don't think they... Anyways, yeah, had to be when they were trading. I might be still half asleep there. I wish I had some folks. Sometimes I usually get some comments in there, but no one's giving me comments saying, yeah, that's right, or anything like that. Hey, if we're ever doing, if you're watching this and you want to communicate, by the way, like I said, I'm going to try and do these JazzNation dailies daily. So this is a chance to talk with me in the comments. There's on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube streams there. I wish there was a way to do like Instagram live with these things. It doesn't give me the option to stream it there. I wish it would. And I can't pull up Instagram Live on my phone because this is my way of pulling up information. So kind of screwed on that. Anyways, let's just wrap that up for today's episode of the Jazz Nation Daily. Again, gonna try my best to do this every day. I feel like this is just a cool way to, give out some new news that's breaking with the Jazz Nation stuff. It's from Jazz Nation News, Jazz News, NBA news and things like that. And it gives me a way just to remind people of things that I've got going on. Again, one final time, mention again, 1 week from today is the NBA draft. The Utah Jazz are not doing a draft party at the arena, but Jazz Nation, us here, will be doing a broadcast, a live stream, if you will. So if you're watching this right now on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, 1 week from today, you'll also be able to watch the draft on those platforms as well with us. I, again, unfortunately, will not be on there. I will be out of town with my wife. We're going to San Jose to see the Blink-182 concert. So excited for that. But my assistant to the host, the guy that's there with me on my podcast, Will Wonder, he'll be on there and he'll have some friends, special guests talking with him, and they'll just be reacting to the picks and if there's any trades and things like that. So you'll have an opportunity to get on there and chat with him. And, if he feels lucky, maybe he'll send you an invite so you can actually get onto the broadcast. So that hopefully that would be cool for him to do that. Another thing I would like to remind you of is to check out Jazz Nation on Patreon, patreon.com/Jazz Nation. Patreon is spelled Patreon. It is a website where you can help support all of the work that I do and all of the things that I'm trying to do. It's $6 a month. We're going to have exclusive interviews on there for you to watch. Right now, we have an exclusive interview with Walker Kessler. It was such a fun interview to do with him. He was so funny. He's an open book. I'm telling you, I know a lot of us Jazz fans, we've seen almost every Walker Kessler interview there is out there. There's questions I feel like we did in this interview that are not on any other one. So if you wanted to learn more about Walker Kessler, it's going to be on there for you. The way it works with those interviews, by the way, is they'll be exclusive on the Patreon page for 2 weeks. And once those 2 weeks are up, it'll go on to the podcast platforms. The difference is on the Patreon page, that interview you're watching on there is uncut, no ads, unedited. It is every question and every answer that was done in that interview. When it's free and it's going to be on the YouTube page and podcast platforms, it's going to be edited down. There's going to be some questions that are not going to be on there. And then, of course, there's going to be ads on there as well. So if you hate ads and interviews, if you want to hear all the questions, go to that Patreon page. Again, only $6 for the whole month for that. Not only do you get the exclusive interviews, but when we do interviews, I put it out there saying, hey, I need some questions. You'll have a chance to submit your questions, things like that. So check it out, patreon.com/Jazz Nation. Of course, make sure you're following all our pages on the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, the YouTube page. Podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor FM. If there's some other places, by the way, that you catch your podcast and say, hey, you need to add it to this, let me know so I can get it added on there as well. My name is Daniel. I am the admin of all those Jazz Nation pages. I appreciate you for joining me today. Hope you all have a great Thursday. And I guess that's it. Bye now.